I'll share that a little bit with you in our report, my superintendent's report. But state aid, we anticipate just about $140,000 in increase. Now, if you know anything about tax levy, that is almost exactly 1% of the tax levy. So if we need to raise the budget, or we need to raise the tax levy, that's 1% what we get from the state aid. And typically, the remainder is either going to come from the taxpayers, or it's going to come from using fund balance that we have. So we're pretty certain too that the tax levy, the maximum allowable tax levy, is going to be in the neighborhood of $545,000 that we're allowed to raise with just a simple majority. That equates to about 4.5% increase in tax levy. So that's kind of where our numbers are right now. It's not that we're going to ask the taxpayers for that kind of increase, but we have to make decisions along the way. Okay. So anticipated revenues, just explain a little further, state aid explained especially. We are looking at expense-driven aids, and those expense-driven aids, if you'll remember, come from our spending at BOCES, with BOCES programs, and several other programs, but BOCES is pretty much the largest one. Our foundation aid, is that 2% increase from year to year. We have other expected revenues as well. Again, preliminary. Stated, explained a little bit further. We'll get to that a little later. And now let's get right to the administrative portion of the budget. And we're looking at, right now, a $3.281 million portion of our total. We don't yet have a percentage of that, but it's right around 8%, as it usually is. We try to keep it right there. Some school districts have up to 12%, 14%. We really try to keep it low. But this portion of the budget includes expenses for the Board of Education, me, pretty much, and all of my staff, the finance, so Alicia Coster, her department, legal and personnel, whenever we're using our attorneys, administrative supervision and improvement, which really boils down to our principals and all of their staff, their clerical staff, and central services and special items, which we can extend a little bit further. So basically, we're looking at a rollover budget, nothing really new, nothing really taken away, but we are looking at salary and benefits increases, and this mirrors exactly what we saw earlier in the presentation. So Board of Education expenses up by $1,000. My salary and those people around me, Lorena Carpenter, Susie Hall, and so forth, up about 6.69, and finance, we're looking at about $11,000 increase. Legal and personnel, we're holding that. We have a pretty good system in place with retainers, and we try to be very cost effective with our legal fees. Principals and their staff up about 22.693. Central services, special items, administrative, mostly attributed to BOCES administrative costs, if you're wondering. And then employee benefits we put in a separate section. A lot of times this reminds me of how truly expensive benefits really are. So if you're looking at administrative supervision and improvement again, and you're seeing that over $900,000 number, look at that compared to the benefits. It's quite high. It always is, and it's a major portion of our budget. So a total increase of about 65.6, 2.04%. This could change. I don't anticipate it changing too much, though. It's a pretty modest increase. And we do go to explain these pieces a little bit further. If you can just let me do that briefly. Board of Education includes those bulleted items that are in front of you and on the screen. I don't need to read them for you. Central admin is basically me and my salary, secretary, contractual benefits, all of our postage, travel, supplies, equipment. Finance is basically Alicia Coster, the whole business office, tax collection, personnel, I spoke a little bit about. Lots of civil service fees, lots of legal advice. Our retainers in there, our policy service that we spend time on. We use Zero and BOCES for that. Any advertising, this includes votes, includes our elections and that sort of thing. Administrative supervision improvement, as I said, mostly principals, the assistant principals, those salaries, benefits, and their staff as well. Central services, as I said, mostly BOCES. There's central printing in there and mailing, records management, student accident liability, and we're dead. I don't think that's the end of it. Or did I go back? So I'm certainly open to questions. Audit, budget, and finance, we spent a little bit of time on this Tuesday night. But I do anticipate that it's going to, give and take just a little bit. You guys, in the scheme of things, especially if you're new to the board, this is just one of the components. Obviously, the program takes the most time. We're already working on the program portion. You see a lot of that in January, February, March, really. And that is roughly 75% of the budget. That's all our special education. Capital's up next month. I think you'll find that interesting, and that's a lesser part of the budget too, but it's very important. Operations and planning. So if you don't have any questions, we'll get on to the meeting so we don't fight the snow.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Crankshaw. So moving on to item 3 in the agenda, comments from the public on agenda and non-agenda items. The Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that we can better understand your views. Please be aware that individual student information or particular personnel issues will not be discussed by this board during public session. When recognized by the board president, please state your name and address. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. The speakers will be notified by the board president when their time has expired. When speaking, the public shall direct their comments to the board and not to district staff or other audience members. Speakers shall not expect board members to answer questions during public comment. Questions shall be referred to the superintendent or his or her designee for review, study, and response. If appropriate, the board may request the issue be a discussion item at a future Board of Education meeting or Board of Education committee meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board? Okay, seeing no one volunteering, we'll move on to item 4, celebrations and recognitions. This is the ABCD award winners. Dr. Crankshaw.
Well, actually, this is an award I think is a really great honor to call out some of the great work our teachers are doing. And so tonight we have certificates and beautiful pins just to prove that you've won this award. And the people who have won this award have been nominated by their peers, by students, by parents, and the board likes to recognize our teachers in this way. So I'll be handing out the pins and the certificate. Joelle, I think, is going to be reading off something very nice about each one of you. And so as we do that, would you come up? Well, I'll give you a pin and certificate.
The ABC Award was born from the board's sincere desire to acknowledge those employees of the Greater Johnstown School District who are nominated by the school community members because they go above and beyond the call of duty to make a difference in the lives of our students and help them succeed. The board and the district administration are pleased to recognize 3 outstanding ABC Award winners. First, Scott Chamberlain. Scott is a math teacher at Johnstown Junior High School who tunes into his students' abilities and skill level and recognizes when they might need extra help or to be offered more challenging coursework. He is always professional, positive, and fun in his teaching, which is a wonderful combination that motivates students to do their best. He makes his classroom and everywhere he goes a welcoming and supportive environment for his students. Scott has made countless contributions to Pi Day activities, Why Knox, the Film and Movie Club, and to gaming and coding. Mr. Chamberlain's dedication to teaching and to making learning fun for children, learning fun for Johnstown students truly goes above and beyond the call of duty.
You can say something if you like, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you is a great
I thought I would get the 1, 2, 3, 4 award. Thank you. Very, very appreciative. Very glad to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Kate Warner. Kate is a first grade teacher at Pleasant Avenue Elementary who makes all of the children in her classroom feel loved and welcomed. Parents report that their children return to see Mrs. Warner even after they've moved up to other grades, just to get a hug or to seek a bit of comfort from when they are experiencing a bad day. Parents also say Kate is attentive and precise and that her communication with them is top-notch. Mrs. Warner has been described as truly having a heart of gold, and her care and compassion for Johnstown students go above and beyond the call of duty.
I wish the place were full for you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Paper.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And finally, Jackie Strauss. Jackie is a first grade teacher at Pleasant Avenue Elementary who truly cares about her students. A good teacher in a child's life can make a difference, and parents say that Mrs. Strauss makes that difference for their children. In addition to the admirable care she provides to her students, Jackie also serves as a technology integration coach and has previously served as a new teacher mentor, offering much needed appreciated support to her colleagues and assisting them with implementing effective teaching practices. Mrs. Strauss regularly goes above and beyond the call of duty to find solutions and ways to help Johnstown students and staff succeed.
Congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Photos.
Okay.
Right up here? Why don't you come up here? Can you all three?
Yeah.
Does she want individual?
I'll send you away at me and
Okay, I'll send you.
Sure.
Really good camera. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Okay, since Scott already took the initiative.
Back to practice. Sorry.
The award winners do not feel obligated to stay unless you're really compelled to stay. Okay, so I do not believe we have any executive session planned for this evening, correct? Okay. Item 6, reports. Dr. Crankshaw, would you like to give a superintendent's report?
Sure.
So let's see, I cannot forget to mention to the board that I'm hoping we can schedule a retreat for January. And the retreat's pretty important because we need to discuss the Knox opening and the accompanying, reconfiguration plan. And also academic improvement, I'd like to share with you, the capital project designs, and also, a little bit more in depth on our budget and long-range planning, which we try to do every year. So I'll go on. I'd like to let the board know about the shared decision-making efforts. The first round of ad hoc committees, then on December 7th and 8th, athletics, and Knox opening reconfiguration and transportation. Those were the three issues, three ad hoc committees that met. All were well attended and productive. I would encourage board members, if you'd really like to, attend those meetings, and certainly the public, to see that process at work. One comment on the Knox opening reconfiguration. I think we're hearing compelling feedback from each committee, but especially this one. So we're taking that feedback from that first ad hoc committee and taking all of that into consideration, all the relevant, compelling concerns that were brought out into our planning. So just as a reminder, the opening of Knox really does need to happen as a building. My recommendation will never change on that. However, the recommendation to the board, as far as grade level configurations, that'll come about at the Board of Education's February meeting as well, if not before. So you should have a fairly good idea of what our plan is at that January retreat, so you feel comfortable as you go into February in decision making. I've got a couple items here on communication safety. So we're learning more and more, researching, hearing more and more about school resource officers. I'm kind of staying on that bandwagon because we've been collecting information, watching other schools as they develop their program, examples, examining our student body and culture for the need of them, or two. I can see a formal request of an SRO coming, if not through this year's budget, but certainly follow through with the presentation, the facts, and all those things. As far as programs and initiatives, speaking on the success of the Assistant CSE Director, which the board thoughtfully put in place, because of the time Mrs. Lent has now, she's spending about 40% of her time on CPSE, or early childhood special education items, planning, assessment, identification, supports. And really interesting, I think it's concerning, but I feel better that we're doing it, but between September and December, so from the time we started school till now, we've evaluated 11 children, ages 3 through 5. So the county has struggled to hold these evaluations in a timely fashion, but we've been able to accomplish these and finish these and actually assess the kids properly and give them services earlier than we ever have. The county reimburses us for all of our costs. 2 of these students are from neighboring school districts, and 9 of those 11 are district residents previously. All but 2 qualify for services. So 9 out of 11 qualify for special education services. Now the district has 10 others in the evaluation process currently, so that's an additional 10. The process is very streamlined and efficient to get students what they need early interventions, for example, prior to the start of kindergarten. It's been so well received that even the state education department has said that they're interested in sending a team here to see what kind of model we have created for early intervention and what kind of processes we have in place. What we've created here. So I do want to thank the SEAL staff, which is our social, emotional, academic staff, our psychologists especially, our speech language therapists, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and our teachers for the cooperation and time. Now, if you did the math, it's about 21 students. Our kindergarten classes are right around 100. So we're talking about 20% of our incoming kindergarten class, special education classified. So that's nothing to play with. So if we get early intervention, I think the district would be better off. So on budget and personnel, tonight's presentation of the administrative component, very preliminary, as I said. We've included known revenue at the time and anticipated expenses. The New York State Board of Regents, I should tell you, that proposal has been submitted to the governor. It's based this year on equity for student learning. It's the largest increase we've ever seen in education, foundation aid especially, $3.4 billion as an increase. It prioritizes career and technology programs, increases to expense-driven aids, including textbook allocations, library software, hardware applications. It advocates for regional high schools and mergers. Prioritizes pre-K for everybody. And then I talked about that 2% foundation aid. Something exciting that's been going on here, we're trying to revitalize the foreign exchange program. So we are very interested in getting that program up and running again. We have a teacher very interested, already kind of working on it. We have a partner organization called AUSA, and we hope to have this program in actively recruiting foreign exchange students and local host families in the next year, if possible. So other programs you might consider working with too, like AFS and even Rotary. So a quick update on transportation. Back in September, I let you know that BOCES would be going out for bids for private transportation for our Albany, Saratoga region special education routes. Last week, I think we met. I kind of gave you the update there. This was an expensive extra cost, but we did get one person to bid, and it's called Amazing Grace. It's a transportation company. While pretty expensive, much of the cost we already budgeted for, and is taken off the BOCES contract. But we also included normal contingencies, which really made up for all of the shipping costs. We're netting about $20,000 additional to pay for this transportation. But we're already seeing the benefits because we have 4 drivers now freed up for extracurricular activities, after school, athletics, and home to school runs. Facilities, I won't be too much longer, but we held our first owner meeting today with the entire team, our building project manager, our architects, energy performance contract folks. We're looking at a goal for state ed approval of our projects by roughly next fall of next year. So it's going to take that long, the design process and everything to come to fruition. So we'll provide facilities updates on the facility committee's next meeting, which is January 10th. Then other things, just something to brag about. Our school district can boast some nationally board certified teachers. I just want to call them out real quick. You may not realize that we have such highly trained staff. Now, national board certification is available in 25 different cert areas. These teachers apply on their own accord. It costs them money to do this. They actually are assessed in 4 component areas: content knowledge, differentiation in their instruction, teaching practice in their learning environment, and that they're an effective and reflective practitioner. So videos, just 2 years of work that go into this certification. So I'm going to tell you who we have. We have Ann Baggett in social studies, history, adolescence, and young adulthood. Katrina Bevington, exceptional needs specialist, early childhood through young adulthood. Chris DeCano, English language arts. Melissa Livingstone is a generalist in early childhood. Ellen Roll, the same. And Sean Russo, social studies, history. And I just thought I'd call those folks out. Something to be very proud of for our district. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. President. We have no board report for this month. We do have an audit budget and finance committee report from Tuesday's meeting, 13th of December. So the committee met, we reviewed the internal audit for information technology and data security for 2021 and 22. The auditor was Saskia Khalil from, what was the company?
Questar.
Yes, Questar 3. Basically there were several items, 4 observations that were made that indicated some corrective action was necessary. A corrective action plan is being developed and will be submitted with expectation of follow through over the next year. There was an expanded audit, which was a proactive district subject and technology initiative. Basically, it was good timing for the audit as it aligned to our internal audit for the technology risk area. This was something that was coordinated through Austin Harris, our Assistant Director of Technology. And it basically was a way to try to assess the various security holes that we may have that could put our system at threat. Some new business, we had a review of the administrative component of the 2023-24 budget. That which you saw Dr. Bangshaw present this evening. I'm not going to repeat the numbers. I guess that was about it. Brief mention about the January retreat, where we will discuss budget, the Knox opening reconfiguration, capital planning, and long-range planning. So our next committee meeting will be Tuesday, January 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom behind the Knox stage. And we will review the capital component of the 2023-24 budget at that time. Okay. I don't believe we have any correspondence to review. Okay. So item 7 on the agenda, consent agenda. In an effort to expedite the business of the Board of Education, but in no way meant to diminish the importance of each item, a consent agenda may be used for the items in this section. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one board member. Items not removed will be adopted by general consent without debate. Any removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the board. So there are several, let's see, there's a consent action business, which then moves to consent action personnel and consent action approval of the CSE, CPSE, and 504 committee minutes. Does anybody have any wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Bev, do I have a second? Marge? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Unanimous vote, thank you. Moving on to item 8, action items business. We have a second reading and adoption of new or revised policies. Those policies include the new policy 6561, determination of employment status, employee or independent contractor. New policy 7133, education of students in foster care. And revised policy 8350, use of copyrighted materials. Can I have a motion to accept? Bev, second. Joel? Any discussion? Okay. So it appears not. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Item 2, internal audit, Questar 3, corrective action plan. And this is to adopt the corrective action plan dated December 13th relative to the information technology data security audit conducted by Questar 3. Can I get a motion to accept? Art, a second. Marge? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Item 3, 2022 capital project secret resolution, December 15, 2022. So this is the seeker for, which part of the project is it?
The removal.
Okay, for the removal of the 10,000 gallon fiberglass tank located in traffic circle of Wright Drive, as well as an underground tank at Pleasant Avenue Elementary School and an underground tank at the Knox building. So I'm not going to go through and read all of that verbiage. Right, it's related to this year's capital outlay work that was voted on previously. So do I have a motion to accept? Beth, Ron, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Item 4, 4, capital outlay project approval, Johnstown Junior Senior High School oil tank removal. Okay, so this is to approve the outlay project, basically related to the seeker approval that we just did. Can I get a motion to accept? Art, can I get a second? Bev? Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. Item 5, to approve budget transfers and establishment of capital fund budget for medium capital outlay project. This is to set up transfer capital reserve monies to transfer to capital fund, number A 9950.900, the amount of $1 million. Can I get a motion to accept? Art, second, Ron? Any discussion?
I have one question. Should we take the word outlay out of the title of this? Because it's really the medium capital project. It's not a capital outlay. I'm sorry to finish that.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, action items, personnel. Item 1, probationary appointment of Cassandra Taylor, teaching assistant. Can I get a motion to accept?
Can I make a motion to listen to a consent agenda? Is there somebody here? Is there anything to break out required?
Maybe all the way down to,
Are we done 8?
well, almost 6. You got,
But I don't think there's anybody here.
I just want to leave anyone out. Did you come for appointment?
She's here for her new visions teaching class. She just has to make
Oh,
notes.
beautiful. Okay. So I think we're okay.
Okay,
well, I
So-
think 7 and 8 should be just, teacher retirement should be read separately.
Yes, for sure.
okay. So at the request of Mr. Schrum, we will combine action items personnel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 into a single consent agenda. I don't think anybody wants to pull any of those individually. Okay. So to accept those, do I have a motion to accept all 6? Okay. Will, second, Art. Any discussion?
Number 4, the start date is changing from December 12th to December 19th.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. We have item number 7, which is the retirement of Beth Brower, English teacher. Can I get a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation for purposes of retirement of Beth Brower as English teacher effective the end of day, June 30th, 2023? Do I have March 2nd? Any discussion?
Yeah, I think we're losing a super teacher here. I know her, I know her work, I know what she's done. She was fabulous.
I concur. My kids have her.
She's also just a tremendous example of loyalty to the district as well.
Very positive.
She and I started the same year. Pretty exciting.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Okay, we have item 8, retirement of Judy Swat, special education teacher. I'd like to receive a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation for purposes of retirement of Judy Swat as special education teacher effective end of day, June 30th, 2023. Bev, Marge? Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, we'd like to offer our congratulations to both Mrs. Brower and Ms. Swat on their longevity and contributions to our school district. So we have some items under board discussion. These are many first readings for a number of policies. We have policy 3291 for student and staff member memorials. New policy 5675 for student grading information systems. Revised policy 5681 for school safety plans. Revised policy 6121 for sexual harassment in the workplace. Revised 6213 probation and tenure. Revised policy 7350 corporal punishment emergency interventions. First reading, revised policy 7516 concussion management. Revised 7530 child abuse and maltreatment. Revised policy 7710 use of timeout rooms. And does anybody have any questions or comments or discussion they'd like on any of those new policies?
I'd like to know something about the timeout.
Okay, Dr. Crenshaw?
Yep, that's it. Let me find it.
That would be 7710.
Okay. Yeah, this is a, I don't know if you hear me, this is a pretty simple update. We're looking at language, to clarify the technique that we use to deal with interrupting the educational process through unacceptable behavior. It clarifies how legally timeout rooms can be used by teachers. Not a whole lot of material change here.
How long
Shells.
will the child be in timeout?
I don't really know the answer to that question, and the policy doesn't go there. It is all governed by state regulations, which we follow. Of course, we have to notify parents whenever we have students in the timeout room. And mostly, there's a lot of shall turn to will, and that's a trend in legalese.
What reason I'm asking, it wouldn't be like for weeks or a month or something like that?
No, it's usually for minutes.
Okay. Is what it makes.
Hopefully not for hours, although occasionally.
No, I was a special ed teacher, sometimes it was for a day, but I just wanted, I had heard, not in our school, but I had heard in some school districts that they were keeping children in timeout for weeks and weeks, and I just wanted to make sure.
The policy says at no time may a student remain in a timeout room longer than 30 minutes at a time or more than 60 minutes in a day.
Great.
Yep. And, well, very specifically regulated. That's all I have to say. Policy is not required, but it's probably a good thing to have.
Okay, so none of these items require a vote at this time. There's also a continuation of the policy manual audit for section 5000. So coming up in the month of January, we should be reviewing the transportation policies, which run from 5710 to 5761. Certainly, as we review these policies, if you have questions, you can feel free to email those questions to myself and Dr. Crankshaw. And we can try to get you some answers in advance of meetings. Assuming there's no further discussion on those items, we'll move on to informational items.
We're still in board discussion, right?
Yep.
I just want to go back to Dr. Crenshaw, for exchange students.
Yep.
When I was there, the International Club advisor was the one that really was the person that you went to for this.
Sure.
And I think that should be, again, brought to the teacher. The other thing is, Mr. Hale had talked to me about this. We had worked very closely with the AFL, right?
AUSA,
No, what the heck was it?
AFS.
AFS. Yeah, we worked very closely with them, and that was a great organization. Is it possible that I could be like a liaison for this?
Absolutely.
Because I did the international club for many years, and we were involved in exchange students. And I must have been involved in exchange for almost 25 years.
Yeah. I think you'd be a natural. You know, I was in charge of the Rotary program, and you know, we brought at least 5 exchange students in every year and sent out at least 5. There's a lot of work to it, as you know.
Yeah, I'm sure AFS would be more than happy to see us start that over again.
But the beautiful thing is there are a couple of programs out there I haven't even discovered yet, but between this program and AFS and even Rotary, I think if we can get that revitalized, we could have more foreign exchange students than just
Well, the key is finding
host families, yeah.
They have to be, this AFS has an interview process that they go through.
Sure.
And it's tough, especially where our economy is today.
I'll keep that in mind for sure. Rotary is a little more helpful sometimes because they give financial assistance.
Okay.
They're only 3 months at a time in the house.
Well, I think you could deduct some out of taxes when you had an AFS student. That's correct.
Thank you for that offer.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, so we have a few informational items. January 10th, which is a Tuesday, we have a facilities committee at 6:30 p.m. at Knox. January 17th, the personnel committee, 5:30 p.m. at Knox. January 17th, audit, budget, and finance committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. And January 19th, business meeting and budget discussion starting at 6 p.m. And now that we're in budget season, all of our meetings will likely be starting at 6 p.m. To get that presentation in before the bulk of the agenda. So we do not have any executive session at the end of the meeting, so I would ask for a motion for adjournment. Art, second? Marge? All those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.